This is Shannon and Rob from the No Ideas Original Podcast.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to talk to us today.
No worry, no worry.
Look,
Is this good for you?
yeah, this works. This works. Look, man, I wanna say, I wanna give you your props and kudos in advance. Like we have, I think, like an issue within our culture and the hip hop culture. Maybe because the hip hop culture is still fairly young compared to like other genres that we sometimes forget about the people who have paved the way for us. And I feel like me and Rob probably wouldn't be sitting here conducting this interview had it wouldn't been for seeing you, Ed Lover, Ralph McDaniels, a couple of other brothers actually on the screen doing this thing. So I want to say thank you. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you for the blessing. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it.
Man, and this is Mr. Rob, and also how y'all were able to give us hope. The way y'all gave us hip hop culture, man. Y'all was the news. Y'all was CNN. Y'all was C-SPAN. Y'all was the comedy club. Y'all was everything, man. You made it very comfortable, and it made it look very easy talking to people that we can only hear over the radio. So
thank you.
I give you your flowers.
Thank you for that blessing again. Thank you for the love.
Now, look, we're both dudes that we grew up in the Bronx, and for people that grew up in the five boroughs, it was viewed as like Long Island was the suburbs until hip hop. Hip hop really opened our eyes with the Rakims, the EPMDs, and Public Enemies of the world. But I'm just wondering, from your perspective, what was it like growing up in Long Island in the 70s and 80s?
Like growing up in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, etc., and Staten Island. Same thing. Most of us had family in all the boroughs, so we were always traveling in and out.
Okay.
Right. It was not. The difference was we didn't have a subway. We had the Long Island Railroad. Right. Believe me. And we used to take the railroad, the buses to the subway and get all around where we needed to be, whether it be uptown, downtown, east side, west side, you name it. And I mean, the fallacy of all of that, which really bugs me out, because I have family in the Bronx. Mm-hmm. My aunt lived on Sheffield Boulevard.
Okay.
I have family in South Bronx.
Wow, that's uptown.
Yeah. I have family in Brooklyn. I have family in Queens, St. Albans, Queens, Jamaica, Queens. I have family in Manhattan, uptown.
Yeah, you're a true New Yorker.
Yeah, so it's like, I never understood, well, what's the big difference? My godfather worked at a liquor store every day in Harlem. I used to hang out with him there. Like, what's the big difference?
What's the big deal, right?
What was the big deal? And when my cousins would come out to Long Island, to Newcastle, and to Westbury, where I was born and raised, and we went down the street to the park, they're like, wait, the park is down the block? Yeah, what's the big difference? I said, your park is down the elevator. Mine, you walk down the block. We got a pool. We got basketball courts.
Right.
We had a skating rink. We had a handball court. Tennis. Yeah, okay. It may have looked like we were living in a lap of luxury, but the Long Island Railroad ran right past the park. So that was our subway.
And it's funny you say that, man, because traveling back and forth, I remember going to Queens to the one park right off of Farmers Boulevard, and I actually witnessed a LL Cool J versus Mikey D battle like in '84.
Okay.
And I was traveling all the way from the Gun Hill Road part of the Bronx, bro. So you're right. There's nothing wrong with traveling. If you can get there, you can get there.
My father and my mother were born and raised in the city. And my father took me to Coney Island in Brooklyn, and we jumped on a subway, and he rode me all through all the subways to teach me how to ride in the subway.
That's right.
All the way from the E train, the F train, the D, the A, the 1, 2, all of them. Yeah. And then he dropped me off. He dropped me back off in Queens, and he said, find your way back to Brooklyn. Here's some tokens. Bye. I said, where are you going? He said, figure it out. Right. And I did.
Yeah.
So, some of those lessons you learn and we understand is that all of us are really more alike than not alike.
Right. That's a fact.
And look, I've been mugged and robbed in Harlem. I had a fight in Brooklyn, and I had to hightail it out of the Bronx when I snuck up there. My aunt caught me. So yeah, I had the same kind of life y'all had. Yeah, but I lived in the suburbs. Yeah, I hung out. We played in our park. No, we didn't have constant sirens around us all the time, but sometimes we did.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's why I say I lived in Newcastle, Westbury. Westbury was the community. Newcastle was the hamlet. So if you understand what I'm saying, the brothers, Spanish folks, everyone else lived in Newcastle, and the white folks lived in Westbury.
Yeah. That's
so,
how.
I mean, that's where I grew up. It's changed, but we all got along. We all found a way, and we had issues, and we solved those issues.
Right.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So what led you to being a DJ, Mr. Dre?
What led me to being a DJ?
Yes, sir.
Like everybody else, women. I was a bad musician in my high school, junior high, elementary school. I played trumpet. I played from first trumpet to last trumpet, and last trumpet to worst trumpet. I was pretty bad, but I was cool. I liked trumpet because it made you look cool. So I went to a block party, and my cousin in his house, he had all these turntables hooked up, and they would be playing James Brown, Parliament Funkadelic, Jackson 5, Marvin Gaye, you name it, all through there. The Supremes, Gladys Knight. I mean, I'm saying surface for a minute. And I was fascinated with it, but I went to this block party around his way, and there was a band playing on the stage, and there was this DJ dude. And when the band would stop, the DJ would play. And I watched all the girls run up to the DJ. And he would play music. And I was like, I gotta do that. That looks cool. And he was always, as a DJ, you could tell I asked him to play a record, and he'd shake it off, and he'd have a little attitude. Then he would play it, and the girls would go crazy. I said, gotta do that. If I play the record, girls come talk to you. So that's how I got involved.
I think a lot of people realize how college radio helped with the advancement of hip hop. Can you talk a little bit about your experience being in college radio and what it meant to you?
Oh, simple. Well, first, my brother, I went to his school at AIC in Massachusetts, and I watched him DJ on his college radio station. And I said, wow, he's got the voice. He's real cool. I mean, wow, that looks something I want to do. And we grew up with Frankie Crocker,
yes, sir,
in New York, and Chuck Leonard, and I can't remember all the greats in the morning on WBLS, and other radio stations around us, that we grew up with. And I'm not just talking about Howard Stern on NBC. We hung up with that too. But at college, I happened to go to the college where I found BAU because I was dating this young lady, and I had a scholarship to go to Cornell University, Syracuse University, and I was supposed to actually go out west, but I fell for the big button to smile, and I said, "Yeah, we could do this." And I went to school with Mr. Bill Stephanie, Harold McGregor, aka Harry Allen, and Mr. One Carlton Ridenauer, aka Chucky D, aka Chuck D, and the late great Dr. Andre Strobert's black music class. And then that's when I was asked, "Hey man, you know about BAU?" And I had heard of the station, but I didn't know it was at the radio. I didn't know it was at the college. So we went over to the UC. They walked me upstairs, and my eyes were open to like, whoa! I got invited to the Mr. Bill show on Monday nights with the night nurse, the late great Rusty J was on Sunday nights, and the one and only Super Spectrum mixed hour and one half on Saturday nights with the one and only Chucky D, Butch Cassidy, Wizard KG, aka Keith Shockley, President Shockley, and the inimitable MC DJ Flavor, aka Flavor Flav. And we got introduced as my DJ group, The Concept, with T Money, Easy G Rockwell, and we started working up at BAU. So BAU, I call the greatest hip hop incubator in New York history from a Long Island perspective, because we had to fight to get respect in Queens, Brooklyn,
yeah,
the Bronx.
yeah.
The Bronx picked us up sometimes, but I've driven to the Bronx and picked up Chuck Chill Out and brought him back to BAU. I picked up Red Alert, Cool DJ Red Alert, brought him to BAU. Africa Bambaataa, brought him to BAU. Run DMC, BAU.
Nice.
The Beastie Boys, BAU.
Nice.
LL Cool J, BAU. Mikey D, BAU. Super Nature, aka Salt and Pepper, BAU. Herbie Love Bug, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And we had a stable of young artists from Long Island, Hempstead, Freeport, Roosevelt, Newcastle, Westbury, and all over that contributed tapes and songs to this thing we call WBAU.
Right. Now, during that time, were you at that time able to interview any of those artists?
Interviewed everybody. Everybody that came up there, Davey DMX and company, came to BAU because they heard BAU, and we were credited with giving LL Cool J his first radio interview. When I brought the Beastie Boys out, which eventually I went and DJ'd with them for a period of time, they were like, "I can't believe y'all do this every week." Yeah, that's what we do. And then we would DJ during the week, DJ on the weekends, and do our shows late at night.
Wow.
Yeah, everybody, even KRS-One and the late great Scott LaRock were on my show at WBAU.
How'd you end up becoming a DJ for the Beastie Boys?
Well, after meeting Rick Rubin for a while and playing him a lot of BAU artists back and forth, he wanted to sign my group, The Concept, to Def Jam, which is what he did, because we did a promo for BAU called Can You Feel It? Acknowledge Me, our first single.
Right.
And he said, as the deal went down with CBS/Sony, he said, could you fill in for me and DJ for the Beasties? And I did. We developed a cool relationship. 2 years later, on the Raising Hell tour with the Beasties, and the original Concept/the Concept actually wrote the song Proud to Be Black on the Raising Hell album. Yes, we did.
Yes, you did. You most certainly did.
And then in doing that, we used to have tape battles on buses and vans, and I would play them BAU artists, and they heard this artist called Spectrum City / Chucky D and MC DJ Flavor doing Public Enemy #1, which also was a promo for WBAU. And I played it for them, and they went crazy. Told Rick about it. Played it for him and Russell at Rick's dorm at NYU. Russell woke up, walked over to the tape and threw it out the window and said to me, "That'll never work. It's nothing but a bunch of noise." Who knew?
Who knew, right?
Who knew?
And look what it turned out.
I got mad at him for that. But yeah.
Look what it turned out.
That's how those things happen.
That's how those things happen, man. Man, you're like a hip hop almanac in the 80s, man, the way things develop. And what a magnificent position to be in, being around all that early talent. I'm telling you, the way, even with the inception of Mtv Raps, y'all guys were just necessary for creating so many futures for individuals who are now execs and superstars and legends and MCs. At that time, did you know, I'm talking about from Mtv Raps, that you were merging TV with radio? That, only time I think that was done was probably what? Soul Train?
Yes and no. The thing is, having worked at WBAU and Adelphi, we always had a vision of it. We even did a video show before there was a Mtv Raps.
Okay.
We were big fans of Ralph McDaniels, the Vid Kid, and Video Music Box.
Right.
But you have to use that little antenna and shake it. And I had cable, and T-Money didn't. So we'd run back and forth to watch MTV on my house, and then go to his house to watch Video Music Box.
Right.
So we did understand that existed. But when we got to MTV and had the opportunity, I was actually in the pilot with Run DMC and the late great Jam Master Jay at the Nassau Coliseum. I was introducing Public Enemy with a Def Jam jacket on in the middle of the summer, sweating my bazungas off. but it was probably foretold in the future that I would get an opportunity to work with Ed Lover and do the Daily Show, thanks to Peter Doherty, late great Peter Doherty, and the late great Ted Demme, who Peter called me in because I knew him from when I was DJing with the Beasties.
Mm.
Yeah, you were setting them up ahead of yourself along. Yeah.
And the thing is, I used to go to watch Africa Islam DJ with Africa Bambaataa at the roller skating rink in the city, and I saw Treacherous 3. I've seen Dougie Fresh perform before the records, before the bigness. We actually at BAU, again, back to BAU real quick. We actually had New Edition perform with us at Roseland roller skating rink on Long Island. And Chuck always reminds me, you were DJing for LL Cool J, and he was freestyling, with you cutting back and forth. And unfortunately, we just didn't have a videotape of it.
Mm.
But that happened.
So from the time
I DJ for the Fat Boys in not Rockford Center, in Long Beach,
right,
when they came out and performed, because their tape popped. So I got behind the wheels for them and DJ for the for the Fat Boys. Yeah, so I've been around doing things for quite some time.
You've been spinning the block.
Mtv Raps.
You've been spinning the block for a long time, big fella. You've been spinning the block, man.
Yeah, you can say that.
Having spent time, I guess, around the Beastie Boys at a early period of time in hip hop, what's your opinion on their contribution to hip hop? Like, where do you see them in this grand scheme of hip hop?
I can equate them to any group that got together and decided to participate in a thing we call rap music, participate in hip hop culture, because they didn't try to imitate, they tried to be themselves.
Right.
That's why their songs sound the way they do. They didn't say, okay, we're going to imitate. Run DMC wrote Slow and Low for them, but their big hits are Hold It Now, Hit It, She's On It. God, I can't think of the name of the song. I'm so nutty. The New Style.
The New Style.
I can't think of the name of the song. Oh my God, with the reverse beat. Yeah, I mean, they contributed in their own way. They didn't go out of their way trying to prove that, they was keeping it real. They was down. They said, this is what we do. We love rap music.
Yeah.
We listen to it. But we also like punk music. We also like rock and roll. We also like jazz. We also like this. So we got to combine different ideas together, where Mike D is on my album, Straight from the Basement of Cooley High, on a song called She Got a Mustache.
I listened to that. I was going to ask you was the BC's on there, because I heard that.
Yeah, and T Money and I on Girls, on the Beastie Boy License to Ill album. So we were always collaborating together, doing different things. And I talk about that in one of the books I'm writing about these time periods.
It's funny because I was just listening Straight from the Basement of Cooley High, and I was listening to Charlie Says, and it automatically made me think of Jack of Spades. I was like, hold on.
Well, I got to give contribution to the late, great Jeff Foss, who was also on Straight from the Basement of Cooley High, who actually gave me the records and said, Dre, check this out. And Rapper G went crazy.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, we got to do something on this.
Yeah.
We got to do something on this. And Easy G and I just cut it up, and the rest was history. It was the last song we recorded for the album. And the interesting thing is, when we went on tour, which is really funny, Boogie Down Productions, KRS-One, opened for us in England, along with Queen Latifah.
How about that?
And the first night that Chris and the gang opened for us, they tore us apart. And we went into a huddle, and we said, don't you ever let that happen again. They just destroyed us.
Yeah.
Destroyed. We came out the next night, and I guess they were real confident. And they did real good. But we did better. We went off. Because we were a little smug, a little not knowing, but it just smacked us, the reality to us.
Yeah. Pump That Bass Acknowledge Me. Even if people don't know the tracks by name, they should know it because it's been sampled several times
Yes.
You guys were signed to Def Jam before it was what Def Jam is now. What was it like back then? What did Def Jam look and feel like back then?
It felt like a label in a college dorm with Rick Rubin and Russell. When we did, now, like I said, Knowledge Me is a promo from BAU talking about what happened up there and hanging out around the town. And Can You Feel It was something I did in my studio, and everybody just loved it. When I did Pump That Bass, I actually wrote that on the tour bus um, for the Beasties. I programmed the whole thing. I wrote out the song, and I actually just did it. And every time I would fly back, I would do different parts. And when I finished it, I went to the studio, Chung King in downtown New York. And Steve and I took 36 hours to mix Pump That Bass.
Hmm.
And people like Michael Saxon, late great Michael Saxon, played guitar. Randy London played drums on it. And Easy G and I did the scratch. I did the vocal. Easy G did the Get a Little Stupid. And I did Pump That Bass.
Yeah.
And the rest was history. Because I got the energy being on the road, and I knew what I wanted to sound like. I wanted to do something that could be memorable, like Rocket from Herbie Hancock and
Yeah.
Grand Mix DST.
Yeah. It's funny that you said it felt like a label, in a college dorm. Like, did you guys actually back then appreciate how organic it was? Like, now you look at, like, I couldn't see somebody embracing that now because we've gotten used to these big budgets and what we believe labels to be, even though there's been a transition, I feel like, in the music industry where it's becoming much more about, direct to consumer, where you don't need the whole big machine behind you kind of thing. But I just wonder, like, back then, did people really understand, like, yo, we're part of history with this thing that we're growing organically, and where people are like, what the hell, we got to get out this dorm room?
No one knew. It was all a guess. It really was. You're talking about Russell was managing some of the top acts in rap music at the time, the Houdinis, which then spawned off UTFO. He was managing Run DMC. This is a huge act. He was managing Curtis Blow, who was the king of rap, who he was dropping the breaks, Christmas rapping, daydreaming, you name it. And they had just come off doing this movie called Crush Groove. And our manager, future manager, Charles Stepper, was managing the Fat Boys, who was on this tour. And there was Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. So nobody thought this thing was going to amount to what it became, where Africa Bambaataa and his Soul Sonic Force were all over Europe, and they were performing. No one thought, well, this could actually happen.
Right.
And as it developed, that's the difference of then and now.
Right.
So to me, when you were dealing with the dorm labels or the one-offs, the Next Plateaus, the Tommy Boys, the Tough City Records, and all that stuff, these were very modest labels. And every record was a guess. There was no guarantee. Even UTFO. People will talk about Roxanne Shante, which I love her, but if it wasn't for Roxanne, that was an international huge hit record.
Yeah.
How do we dismiss them from the history of music?
Yeah.
But by the time Cold Chillin' comes around and you get Big Daddy Kane, Biz Markie, Roxanne Shante, everything was starting to form.
Right.
So today, when you have no filter and everybody can say, I went in my closet and I made a hit record, that's the difference.
Yeah. So
I have to say, we kind of did the same thing. I went in my basement and we came up with Knowledge Me and Can You Feel It?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, man. I was listening to back to straight from the basement. That song Run Your Mouth. It had those rock riffs in there. And I went right back to Walk This Way. I said, yo, this sound that you captured so far back then has just spread it out, and everyone has just pecked at it like Thanksgiving turkey the next day and made up their own sound, man.
That album was done 2 years before it was released. It's sad.
Wow.
Because I had an issue with Rick at the time, which you have to read the book and I'll explain in depth. And I'll explain about why Walk This Way was done the way it was done.
The way it was
A
done.
lot of stuff came out of BAU. A lot of stuff came from places people ignore and don't give people credit for, which is what happens in history of any genre of music. It just does. Like most people don't realize that Aretha Franklin didn't do Respect first. She did a cover.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's fact.
Yeah.
You know, Big Mama Thornton did Hound Dog.
Right.
Those are facts. You see? But when you get to the truth of how things happen, Straight from the Basement of Cooley High was a 2.5 year culmination. And people who hear it today go, yeah, man, I didn't realize you guys did that. Back then, we were way ahead, but yet also behind in the same breath. That's why people say, how come Knowledge Me wasn't on there? Because we did all these other songs.
You had Knowledge on there.
I put Knowledge, but Knowledge Me, and even the original Can You Feel It? I wanted to being a record guy, please buy the singles and then check out the album. And if we had an opportunity to do a second album, I think it'd have been through off the roof.
Mm. So when you say behind in what sense? What do you feel behind in what sense?
When you recorded a record then, you put it out as quickly as possible because what you recorded is working at that moment.
Mm.
Right. And the future was, again, remember, we're not dealing on the internet. There was, and the idea of you getting a video made was lucky, maybe.
Mm.
So when we did that song, and we were supposed to do a video, which I was thinking of doing, Johnny Was a Gangster, and Charlie Says. Yeah, but again, having issues with the label at the time, they were like, "You're gonna spend that kind of money?" I said, "No, I'm just gonna do this video." I figured Michael Jackson did it. Why can't we? They said, "But you're not Michael Jackson." I said, "You got that right."
You would have never known that you and Ed didn't know each other before you're on MTV Raps. You know, who else was considered for the position, and how'd you guys develop such good chemistry in a short period of time?
As I said, the late Peter Darty called me in, and the late Ted Demme was good friends with Ed, and we actually just met on the audition. Ed knew about me from my college days at WBAU at the operating room, and we met there. We did, Ted had these dreadlock wigs. We put them on. Yeah. We did an audition. Ted loved it, brought it to his higher ups. Peter told me, "Hey, Dre, everyone seems to love you." And I said, "Okay, we'll find out what goes on." So it was Ted Demme's idea to put us together to show a different dynamic than just Fab Five Freddy, who decided not to do the Daily Show.
Yeah. For me, you guys, Fab Five Freddy, Downtown Julie Brown, you're representing color for the urban viewers. Do you think internally that MTV felt that they needed to have that kind of representation? And if so, why?
Because they didn't have any crayons of color happening like we were at the time. You know, got to give it up to J.J. Johnson, who started out as a VJ on MTV. Downtown Julie Brown. Woo! That's a whole nother story. Mm. We'll talk about another time. We can't forget T Money, who was your mailman, who used to work with me with Original Concept. Mm-hmm. Then Todd, the late great Todd Brown, who was a PA, actually became a host of Fade to Black. Bill Bellamy came on. Yeah. You know, we've had quite a few folks. Benny McDonald, Martha Diaz. I mean, these are people behind the scenes. Jack Benson. I mean, we had quite a few cast of folks. When Ed and I first walked into MTV, like I said, when I did, I remember walking in and I saw two Black people. One was emptying a garbage can, the other one was pushing it. And I kept looking, going, "That's it." I mean, just anybody behind it. That's a female. Anybody, please. just wasn't there. But you got to give credit where credit's due to the group, the Fat Boys, who were really the first rap darlings on MTV at the time. Mm. Congratulations, Charles Stetler and Linda West on that one. Yeah. And Run DMC, who actually had an MTV special, Run DMC. live in concert, and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five were on MTV. So while Michael was breaking down doors and Prince was getting people in a little red Corvette, we was trying to figure out the best way we could.
Right.
Because we weren't making videos like that back then.
Right.
Because when we first started doing Yo Today, we didn't have enough videos. So we were playing Eddie Grant, James Brown,
Right.
Parliament Funkadelic. We were mixing everything together. Bob Marley. So we had to fill up those slots.
You had a pretty decent run with Yo, and then y'all spun off into radio a little bit. But there was a
we had an extraordinary run. I'm gonna tell you why. Not only when you saw Yo MTV Raps, from East Coast to West Coast to down south to north, you got to see the same video played.
That's right.
There was no coastal identification on it. There was no color barrier. It was just the music, the artist, and you, the consumer.
That was it.
And that was a huge blessing. It just was. We also then expanded internationally around the globe, from Japan, multi-nations in the African continent, as well as Russia, because Salt and Pepper, Dr. Dre and that lover, went to St. Petersburg, Russia to perform at the White Nights Festival before they kidnapped Brittany Griner and wouldn't let her back. So Yo MTV
hopefully
Raps,
she's coming back. So hopefully she's gonna come back.
Time will tell. We covered the globe, whether it's Europe, whether it was China, whether it was Russia, whether it was Japan, Australia, South America, Canada. Right. We just did and decided to keep us real,
right,
to the audience. We didn't put on airs. We didn't act like we acted. We just were who we were.
Right.
And that's what the appeal was.
Y'all were the epitome of a household name, literally.
We tried, didn't we? We did a good job, I believe.
Did a great job at that.
Thank you.
And then, in 93 must have been that year because you were on radio, and then y'all shot Who's the Man at that same time, too.
Ed and I, NT Money, were on every major radio station in New York, except Kiss FM. We were on WBLS in the beginning. Then we went to Hot 97. And then when Power 105 opened up, we were at Power 105.
And LA The Beat, right?
And we went to LA The Beat, yeah.
Wow. That is a nice run.
Our greatest successes were all of them because when we did something, it hadn't been done like that before.
Right.
And big credit goes out to Paco Lopez and the late, great Steve Smith, who just passed away, who gave us those opportunities. And if it wasn't for our manager and our desire and our instincts and our love of the music, the culture, and being fans, we wouldn't have survived the way we did. That was our blessing.
Man, I remember going to school in the morning with my Walkman on and listening to the roll call.
Yes.
Before I would get into the building, I had to hit a roll call.
Yep. Big up to Lisa G, Wayne Mayo, Al Barry, Kurt Flirt, Pia James, and so many folks that helped contribute to us making that show the dynamic thing that it was. You're talking about that show beat Howard Stern in the radios at his peak.
Damn.
Right. And Howard Stern was on Yo MTV Raps with us too.
I'm gonna throw out a couple of names, play a word association game with you, and I want you to tell me what comes to mind for each one. So the first, I'm gonna start with Hot Tracks.
Monkeypox. No. The great Carlos De Jesus. The great Carlos De Jesus, which made us all run to TV and go, oh my God, that's New Edition? Oh my God, that's a Sugar Hill Gang. Right. Oh my God. Yeah. And all those artists that wasn't pigeonholed into one direction or another, but that was a local video show that blew up before there was the Wheel of Fortune and before there was Jeopardy at 7 o'clock. There was Carlos De Jesus and New York Hot Tracks.
Hot Tracks. Video Music Box.
We said the great Ralph McDaniels, and the Vid Kid, Lionel Martin.
Mm.
Big fans, always big fans, except for messing with that little antenna in the back of my TV.
UHF Channel 31. Rap City.
Rap City came after you on Mtv Raps, and I never understood BT not embracing rap music. It was really just Donnie Simpson for the longest. And when Rap City came around, with Ed and I, we were always just, hey, good luck, come on.
Right.
We knew we weren't going to be the only ones.
Maybe Rap City couldn't find somebody with light brown eyes to host it like Donnie Simpson.
Look, we didn't make that decision. That was Mr. Johnson and company.
All right, Pump It Up.
D Barnes, my girl. We even managed D Barnes with Body and Soul for our company, Black Steel Management. D Barnes, that was my girl.
And then
even through the incident, which is in my book. Big up to D Barnes and Rose all the time. Big up Def Jeff, Tone Loc, and Delicious Vinyl folks. Yeah. And of course, the one, the only, was the move, Young MC.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how everybody thought Young MC's corny, but he makes a lot of money right now to this day, still busting a move.
Yeah, hit record. And
still busting a move.
Too, and Funky Cole Medina. Those are big records.
Yeah.
Super big records, man.
Well, Funky Cole Medina was, Tone Loc was Wild Thing, and that made him an international superstar.
That's a fact.
So what was the justification that they gave you guys for the cancellation of Yo?
They never did. Well, here's the excuse. Well, we play rap music in the main format now, and people really don't watch the show for you guys. They want to see the videos. Actually, and then when they got rid of us, they went to Hot 97 and tried out Funk Master Flex, Angie Martinez, Wendy Williams, and no one got an audience like we did. You can't replace Don Cornelius on Soul Train. You can't replace Dick Clark on American Bandstand. And you can't replace Fab Five Freddy, Dr. Dre, Ed Lover, T Money, you on Mtv Raps.
Yeah.
Impossible.
I mean, actually, I think people only watch the show for you guys because at that point, it was easier to see videos other places. I kind of liken it to like what radio is now, like mainstream radio. Honestly, when mainstream radio's on, I listen more so for the talk format than I do for the music because it's the same music that's in rotation on almost every station. So I don't know
called
the
personality effect. Mm-hmm. Same thing happened at Hot 97. Everybody who hires us thinks they know best, but they have no clue what they're doing. And then when you decide to break up the dynamic duo, it falls on you. It falls on those who make those executive decisions.
Who was program director at Hot 97 at that time? Tracy?
Yes, she was.
Yeah, we've heard stories about Tracy.
Yeah, and that's one of my ones in my book that I tell.
We gotta get that book, so we gotta get that book in place.
Yeah, so, and you know what? I hold no animosity to people who do their job, but let history speak, and that's why I'm writing what I'm writing, doing what I'm doing, and let that speak for itself.
Mm.
I want to change the course a little bit, man, and talk about health. And I'll start with myself. I'm a 2-time kidney transplant recipient, and feel great. I
gotta say congratulations because you're here with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the most magnificent thing about that, and thank you, bro, was I got 2 kidneys in a span of 13 years. Most people don't get 1 kidney.
Absolutely.
Ever. And I love listening to you talk about optimism and powerful thinking, and also highlight your spiritual journey that you're on right now that keeps you positive dealing with what you're dealing with diabetes.
Okay. For me to keep it very simple, I consider myself super bad. I'm a blind amputee and a type 2 diabetic. And the only thing that's going to stop me is when the creator and the master planner says, okay, come on, I got more for you to do. But we got to put some wings on your back and get you to do what you got to do. There's nothing that will stop me. There's no human being that walks this earth that will slow me down. And the giving that I wish to do and the ability to give and pass along the blessings of health, wellness,
Right.
dealing with people who are homeless,
Right.
dealing with veterans who go and fight our wars, go out there and put their bodies up. And when they come back here, we treat them like they're not even human beings. So my whole optimism is to change that projection.
Right.
So that's why I consider myself super BAD, super bad. So I work with my Dr. Dre's Victory Foundation as we are collaborating and creating alliances with bigger organizations and foundations. And not we shall overcome, we will
He
be.
will. That's right.
We will show you that our major goal is to create greatest accessibility to people with disabilities and special needs.
Mm.
So if people have, as they always say now, oh, well, we got to get better mental awareness of mental health. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, let's just do it and stop talking. Let's
Right.
help people with children and grown-ups with autism. Let's help veterans. Let's help amputees. Let's help blind people. Not to just say, oh, well, they got to try this. The technology exists. The efforts are out there. I'm here to try to bring them folks together the
Right.
same way we did with your Mtv Raps. So Dr. Dre's Victory Foundation is about me being super BAD. I'm not old. I'm just super bad. Watch me. Watch me now. I got it. How?
And you know what? And that's the perfect spirit to have when you wanna make something happen. I've even heard you say you reverse diabetes. How did that work?
I cut out all the crap and
There
understood
you
what
go.
to actually ingest. The ultimate reversal, and it's a daily grind. Let
Right.
me be honest with you. I spoke to a couple of doctors of mine, and he said, "Look, man, you're gonna cheat. You're gonna cheat,
Right.
but whenever you cheat, go back and get on the path.
Right.
Just get on the path,
Give it
because
return
your
back.
body will start to change and will accept certain things, and your body will start rejecting the things that it doesn't need. Because that's a whole nother thing as we walk down, and I guess that'll be part 3, when we get into the health, wellness, exercise, and the love of oneself,
Talk
which
about
is the
yeah.
greatest healer
I can't
of
wait
everything.
for now.
Loving one's self. See, people say, not people, I'll say, I'm an advocate. I like to fight, but I like to fight the good fight. I don't appreciate what they're doing to our women by you removing the rights
Mm.
of women to make their own choices.
Right.
Now, I don't care if you're pro-life, pro-choice, probiotic, pro-antibiotic, I don't give a damn. But you do not remove the rights for people
Right.
that have been here for 50 years. This is why I tell people, we got to come together, all of us.
All
Stop
of
the color barrier, stop the culture whining, stop the difference of language, and say, screw this. We have to remove these crazy white men and some white women from power. And the only way we can do that is with the vote. Stop blaming Biden. Stop blaming Harris. They're limited in what they can do. Give
Right.
them the ammunition. As well as you go find money and you put ammunition in your gun to protect yourself, what do you think he needs?
Yeah.
He's not an absolute ruler. He's
Mm.
a president with rules. So if you're, I ain't gonna do this. I'm saying get everybody 18 to 80, blind, crippled, and crazy. The midterm election is about our destiny,
Mm-hmm.
because they've already proved in the Supreme Court when they lied and put those 3 Supreme Court justices, I'm being nice, in power. You see what happens. And
Yeah.
Uncle Clarence Thomas, that faker.
I know you want to call him something else. Don't even worry about
No,
it.
that faker. I'm gonna call him what he is.
let,
See, that's who I worry about. I don't worry about the white people. I worry about Uncle Clarence Thomas.
Right, uncle.
let me
I worry about them folks.
let me
Because we got a whole bunch of them folks
let me
out there. Oh, why are you always trying to be a victim? I'm not trying to be no victim. We didn't come here on the love boat. We came here on the slave boat.
Right,
Get
right,
it right.
right. That's right.
Get it
You can
right.
fight back.
All
You can
people
fight
of
back.
color, all people of all nationalities, all people of cultures. That's why hip hop culture exploded the way it did. It got tired of playing the old rock and roll rules.
Yeah.
Even rock and roll said we got to bow down a little bit. This movement's too strong.
Yeah.
It's too strong.
Too strong.
The reason,
Chuck Berry,
the reason why I like the stuff without
Chuck Berry is the true king of rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Little Richard, true king of rock and roll. Come on.
Yeah.
We try to dismiss our history and just go, well, whatever happened last week? No. There were rappers before there was MC Light. There was Ella Fitzgerald. There was Cab Calloway before there was Jay-Z.
Right. There was Dick Gregory before there was Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
There was Lou Costello and Danny Kaye before there was Vanilla Ice. They used to rhyme. They called it something. They called it scatting, jazz talking. It was there. They did it. Don't dismiss it. Oh, don't be bringing them white people into the straight. This is why there's problems. Stop doing that. That's what they did.
Right.
The only way we're going to be strong is if we all get along. And I don't mean everybody has to agree. I mean, let's take the power.
Right.
And the only way we can do that is through the vote and through constant pressure. Because you already seen 45 commit a coup on our nation.
On our nation.
And his followers are still saying, nope, they stole the election. They stole the election. The only thing you stole that's been stolen is the lives of African slaves. Those are the things you stole. The culture of African nations, all distributed through Europe, all distributed through the United States in museums. Don't talk about what was stolen. Tell the truth. Because my mother used to tell me, the truth shall set you free.
That's right.
And to be honest, Jesus Christ was a black man.
You already know, bro.
All praises due to Allah, and that's a blessing.
And that's a blessing.
And don't let me bring Buddha
I like how you throw a little bars in there from songs too, there, big bro.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I do what I do because let me tell you something. Crucifixion ain't no fiction. So-called chosen, frozen. Apologies made to whoever it pleases. Still, you got me like Jesus.
Talk that
I
shit.
move as a team. I don't move alone.
There you go.
Welcome to the Terror Dome.
Welcome to the Terror Dome. Bro.
Yeah.
Man, go ahead, Shot.
No. I was gonna say I think the reason I was listening to you talk about like the stuff with Biden, and with Trump, I think the reason why people are down on Biden, condemning Biden, is because we went from a person who moved almost like they had absolute power and was doing whatever they wanted to now a person that's attempting to try to govern the way the Constitution was supposed to meant to be. Like I have my criticisms on both of them. I think Biden could repair everything once he cut a couple of stimulus checks. People will forget about Trump. But I think that's a larger conversation. We only got a couple of minutes left. Let
me keep it real simple, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Learn from the mistake of the Obamas. Learn from the mistake. It wasn't Obama's fault, but we didn't give him what he needed. Again, you can't go fight a war with an empty gun and expect victory. So don't hand Biden a slingshot and he's going up against tanks. It's not a good look. We have to get behind and then stay engaged, period.
Right.
It's our choice.
Stay consistent. That's right.
Yeah.
You can't, he couldn't do this. And Trump got away with this. So Trump got away with murder. So we should do the same. That's going to solve our problems in the streets. Right. We know where these kids are getting these guns. When 13-year-olds are gunning each other down and killing 11-year-old girls going to get their nails done, we've got problems. Don't blame Biden for that.
Yeah.
He didn't do it.
No, that's a fact. Well,
it's self-destruction. We're headed for self-destruction. I'm not. I walk with love. I got the greatest weapon on this planet. LOVE. One love. One love. You're lucky just to have One love.
Oh man, Dre, we gotta wrap because we're gonna get cut off. But we love to have you back for part two when you get a free moment. Tell us when are we gonna get the book?
I'll let you know. But right now, if you need to reach me on Instagram, reach me on Twitter at DOCTORDRE39, Instagram or Twitter. Not hard to figure out. Don't put DRE in there. You won't get me. DOCTORDRE. You got me. Number 39. You got me. I'm not hard to find. We'll come back as we drop the books on you. And guess what? I got more to learn. I got more to say.
That's
got
right.
Number love.
Number love.
Nothing but love.
Appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, the icon, Dr. Dre.